Beautiful fall day. Obviously, you are sitting on the saddle of, it's a beginner bike. It's a 750cc bike, but we're carrying the mail. We're going 70 miles an hour. We're out in the country. You got some of your buddies behind you who are going to be judging every move that you make because you're out front. Quick question. Where should your eyes be? From under your helmet, what are you looking at? What should you be looking at here? See, and what most people say, even experienced riders, always breaks my heart. People believe instinctively that you need to be looking at the road in front of you. Looking at the road, right? That's kind of a natural thing. You know, looking for potholes or dead squirrels or spilled oil or anything that's going to ruin your afternoon ride. I'm going to tell you right now, that's the cardinal sin of motorcycling. Motorcycles go where your eyes go. What you are looking at is where you are going, which means you want to be looking as far up the road as you possibly can. Your peripheral vision and your brain are going to work really well together to identify any threats that might be out there and let you know about them before you have a chance to hit them, but you want to be looking way up the road. The scary thing about this is a little thing called target fixation. If you stare at something, you're going to hit it. The dead squirrel, he suffered enough. Do not look at the squirrel. To give you an idea of what target fixation looks like, I give you Exhibit A. Do not be this guy. Bonk. Now, the kid got up laughing, so I just want to make sure you know why, because he's a boy and he's American and he didn't realize a video was being shot of him that would be shown at a meeting like this full of PPG people. The bike goes where our eyes go. Not 10% of the time, 100% of the time. You look where you want to go. So, when you reach the holy grail of motorcycling, beautiful sweeping and sharp turns through the countryside, this is what we live for. This is where everything comes together. Our skill as riders, you know, our body movement, kinesiology, gyroscopics, the big honking motor cranking in there, all this wonderful stuff comes to play when you enter a sharp turn. In this case, it's a blind turn. Might be a school bus coming the other way. We don't know that. Where should your eyes be? What should you be looking at here? Let's do a little quiz. Little audience participation quiz with applause. I'm going to call out a number, and you're going to tell me where your eyes are. Clap for me if you think you should be looking at spot number 1. You guys are good. Number 2. Number 3. Or number 4. Spot number 1, you're going tree surfing. Spot number 2, you're going to hit that great big bump. Spot number 3, you're going sailing. Spot number 4, most excellent. That's where the bike is going to take you. You're going to go through the turn. As soon as you get through the turn, you're immediately going to look out of the turn as far up the road as possible. You will hear me say repeatedly, and talk of the importance of looking through turns and as far up the road as possible, because there's a metaphor in this for everybody. I realize what I'm about to say might be a little bit of a stretch, but you're PPG people, you're going bowling tonight, so you can handle what I'm about to tell you. Am I the only one going bowling tonight, by the way? What? Yeah, come on. I must be the only person from Milwaukee here. It's what we do. Okay, what I want you to do is I want you to look at this curve and think of it as a customer, as somebody who's important to you. And the reason I want you to do that is because most of us, and it's a natural instinct, tend to view a customer or a meeting with an important person or some kind of important task. We focus all of our energy on that task. I've got to go see this person. I've got to get ink on paper. I've got to get this deal. I've got to take care of whatever their problem is. I need to interview this person. I have this task. And most of us focus on the task, but what do we want to talk about today And glorify and elevate is this concept of looking through the turn and farther up the road. I don't want you thinking in terms of the transaction that underlies generating a sale or even having a meeting or putting a fire out somewhere. Instead, what I want you to think about is, what is that person that you are meeting with, live, hopefully, and in person or virtually, that person that you're providing this service to, that person that you are selling to, that human being that you are engaged with, what is that person going to remember about what you are about to say and do? What is that person going to tell somebody else about? Because see, here's the deal. Unless or until we're focused on that, unless or until we're entering an engagement or a discussion with someone that's important to us, focused on, what do I want this person to remember and repeat? No matter how good we are at what we're doing, all we're doing is giving people what they expect. And the problem, the real problem with a company like a PPG, like a Harley, like a Porsche, is the bar is already set really high. People expect you to do really good things all the time. But if we don't do something for and say something to people that are right in front of us that somehow they see as different, that somehow gives them a little flush of delight maybe, they're not going to tell somebody else. Period. You've never in your life told somebody a story about a business or a person at a business that gave you what you paid for or what you expected. We don't do that. The curves, the customers, the opportunities to build our reputations and our competitiveness are going to just keep on coming, and it's up to us to make that decision. Am I here to sell? Am I here to serve? Or am I here to do that under the umbrella of delighting people and giving them things to remember and talk about? Everywhere I go, every meeting, and most of them have been virtual, God, it's awful, have talked about customer experience. Bet you've heard that term, customer experience. Wow, what a fancy term. 99.9% of people I talk to have absolutely no idea what that even means. We need to give customers an experience. You know how many customers in the world have ever said, I can't wait to find a business that gives me a customer experience? We're supposed to give people stuff that they're not asking for, though. If you say customer experience in front of most businesses and business groups, they think that that requires some kind of grand gesture, some kind of just unbelievable thing to happen. You know, the dancing elephants come out with the orchestra and the Rockettes. None of that's going to happen. All an experience is what we remember, period, either good or bad. We need to give people and focus on giving people something that they're going to remember that's positive, that they'll talk about. Now, in my world, in the world that I'm from, the motorcycle world, we kind of learned some really valuable lessons about advocacy and human behavior and this now called experience and what that means. And I know that, you look at these pictures, a company like Harley is not new or unfamiliar to anybody here. You've all got a picture in your brain about what this stuff is and what it represents. And one picture that I know exists for everyone, even if I have to prompt a little bit, is corporate tattoos. Harley tattoos. I'm sure you've seen one. Millions of people around the world have chosen to express their loyalty to Harley-Davidson by having the company's logo permanently inked onto their skin. It makes no sense to me whatsoever, but it's one of the most beautiful gestures I can possibly imagine. It kind of embarrasses me because I have a Burger King tattoo. It's a little bit weird. I was going to go with Olive Garden, but no. Okay. Obvious question, not so obvious answer. When people are making that decision to have this corporate symbol permanently inked into their skin, what are they professing their loyalty to? And most people knee-jerking, their motorcycle, the product, that thing that Harley-Davidson does. Designs, engineers, manufactures, sells, services, motorcycles. That product is king mentality. Product is king. Look at the little crown on there. That product is king mentality is what bankrupted the business in the late 1980s. It nearly destroyed the company's ability to compete and obviously and ultimately become the worldwide phenomenon that it is today. It was our belief that we existed to design, manufacture, engineer, blah, 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 world-class, bulletproof, industry-leading, superior quality product because we believe that's what we were in business to do. Nobody would disagree with that until we look a little deeper. That product is king mentality. And what we did as a company to always elevate, promote with tremendous pride and passion the amazing thing that we do, that product, and the features and the benefits of the product, and the product specifications behind the product, and how it's made, and the quality, and all that, is what ultimately hurt us when we had competitors. Harley didn't have competitors for years. We had over 95% market share in the U.S. market. Nobody else was building heavyweight bikes. So we could glorify the hell out of the product, and it didn't hurt us one bit. Until look-alike stuff from overseas, being sold at much lower prices than ours, made by companies with names that we all know and recognize and respect, came in and we essentially fed them our lunch. Everybody started jumping on this look-alike stuff, and what we came to learn and discover the hard way is that we as people aren't loyal to things. It's really difficult to make a human being loyal to a thing. It's way, way easier and attainable to make us loyal to the people, the humanity behind the thing. The lore, the story, the mystique, everything that is baked into the business. Because every association that you have with a business, no matter what it is, every thought that you think of, every memory that you have, every picture that forms in your brain when you think of a business is a mirror reflection of the culture of that business. And I'll show you later, we humanize everything because that's all we know how to do. We're humans. Companies that, over time, lead with product above all, promote product above all, end up leaving an awful lot of business on the table. Because there's always going to be somebody else out there with really deep pockets that also happens to make really great product that's willing to sell that product for less money. We all run into this every day. We are humans. Humans first. Everybody I know believes that the success of a company like Harley-Davidson, the success of a Ford, the success of a Jeep is tied to the product. And what I'm here to tell you is that only gets you to second base. Everything beyond that, all the magic, all the lure, all the preference, all of our willingness to pay more for something hinges on the human equation. What we're going to do for the next couple minutes is look at three abstracts. And I call them abstracts because I don't have a fancier or better word for them. I'm going to show you three things, the three things that drive human behavior. Because if we can understand and leverage basic drivers of human behavior, the things that are appealing to 100% of the human race, we can greatly improve our competitiveness, our ability to maintain great relationships, our ability to have actual honest-to-God loyalty, where people delight in doing business with us and talking about us. And I can promise you this, about a minute or so into this, you'll be thinking, oh, yeah, that's interesting, I didn't know that. And then a few seconds after that, bing, I'll see it from here, light bulbs going off over your head, where you go, oh my God, I can do this. Why am I not doing this? Why did I not know this? This stuff is bulletproof. Let's look at the first one. Abstract number one. What you see there, radically different than what I see, because I'm trained to not see what you're seeing. What you see is a motorcycle. 2 wheels, motor, seat, set of handlebars. Pretty awesome. What I see, study in human behavior and how to leverage our knowledge of simple drivers of human behavior for competitive advantage. If you went to the Harley dealership in the town that you live in, or won a bunch of money tonight here in town after bowling and decided that you were going to go spray all of it on a motorcycle, which I highly recommend, you would not buy that bike as you see it right there. That's the bike as it was built in the factories. Engine and transmission made in Milwaukee, the rest of the bike built in York, Pennsylvania. You would not buy this bike exactly as it was built because this bike left the factory with exhaust pipes that are as quiet as your car. Car quiet has been the industry standard for motorcycles since the early 1920s. The last time you heard a car quiet Harley was exactly when? Answer, never. Harley owners, knuckleheads like me, we like our bikes to be loud, don't we? Why do you suppose we want our bikes to be loud? I hope one of those answers was to irritate the shit out of people, because that's what we do. We want our bikes loud for a very easy to understand human reason that I promise you, the rest of your life, you're going to remember and use to improve your competitiveness. What do, and I know you know this, all Harley owners do at a red light or a stop sign? When we're not moving, what do? We instinctively start to rev our engine and not move. Premium fuel's like $6 a gallon now. We're wasting gas like you've never. Why are we doing that? Why are we revving our engine? It's become an instinctive thing. We're revving our engine because we're talking to you. And what we are saying to you, a toddler can understand. 3 simple words, the drivers of all humanity. Look at me. Look at me. What if you don't look? What do? We crack it open louder. Look at me. You're going to look. Everybody looks. Even if it's that annoying glance out the side of your minivan as you're going by. You're going to look. And in that tiny little snapshot in time, maybe it's a millisecond, when you look at us, our eyes see you look at us, something incredibly magical happens. Dopamine is released in our brain. The pleasure drug, not an enormous amount, just enough that we feel good about ourselves. And the reason we feel good about ourselves is because one of life's most basic human needs, a need common to 100% of our species, has just been met. A need that for most of us goes unmet every day. The need for validation. The need to boost to our self-esteem and to our ego. Somebody looking at me. Squirt. Feels kind of good. Nobody else pays any attention to me. Right? You get shoehorned into the middle seat on the flight coming out. Nobody's paying any attention to you. You're just another person. On the bike, people look, squirt goes the dopamine. What do 100% of human beings do faithfully and repeatedly to any source of delight in their lives? And the answer is we return to it until it fails to delight us. What did I just do? I just defined what loyalty is. We will return faithfully, habitually to anything that delights us until it fails to delight us. So we have to ask ourselves, why shouldn't we weaponize this? Why shouldn't we use this for competitive advantage? What are we here to do? What is our job? What is your job as a team leader? What is your job back in the office? What is your job sitting across from a client or a distributor or a potential distributor? To make the needle move? To generate the sale? To get the feedback? All that's important. But think of it this way. What happens if we view every encounter that we have as an opportunity for us to serve as that little source of delight for somebody? Make somebody think of themselves a little differently than maybe they did before we entered the room or before we started that call, so that they feel, important, needed, necessary, awesome, attractive, powerful, brilliant, the coolest, the smartest. Whatever it is that people want to feel about themselves, if we help them along the way to feel that way, they reward the behavior. How? By coming back for more. This is what we do. We make choices every day who we're going to do business with. Like you, don't like you. Like you, taking your call. Don't like you, do the math. Let's take a micro look at this now. Now we know what this guy just said to us, right? What did he say? All these mumblers. First, he said, look at me, right? I didn't cover myself with war paint like this. to make an artistic statement. I did it so that I will be noticed and reacted to. Why does this guy feel like he needs to do this? Why does he want to be noticed and reacted to? And the answer is because he and everybody you will ever depend on the rest of your life to make a living, he sees himself as the center of the universe. We all see ourselves as the center of the universe. Oh, he thinks the world revolves around him. Yes, he does, because it does. Your world revolves around you. Every thought, every feeling, every belief, every memory, every experience, anything that you've ever had or thought about or felt in your life is thought about, felt, remembered, processed relative to how it impacts me. Center of the universe. All I want the world to do is notice me and validate me. Why does social media exist? Social media exists to prove, first of all, the failure of our species. And I mean that sincerely. We are so desperate. We are so desperate to have an outlet or an opportunity to talk about our favorite topic of discussion. And 100% of us have the same favorite topic of discussion, which is what? Ourselves. We're so desperate to have an opportunity to do that, and share bits of ourselves that others can react to, that we have to go to the fake digital world to get it. And they're making gazillions of dollars off this little quirk in human behavior. When your Facebook or Instagram pal puts up that scintillating photo of the burgers he made last night, right? Or the new purse he got, or the new shoes, like, yay. What are they really saying? What are they really saying? No, you don't give a crap about the burger. What they're saying is, somebody, for the love of God, please give me one of these. Give me that thumb up. Hit that like button. The thumb ups and the likes obviously are where the money are for these businesses. We know that. What's going on inside of burger making dad's brain, or new handbag girl's brain, when they see those thumbs up and those likes? Squirt. Somebody just reacted to me. Like the way that feels. Why do you suppose so many people can't get their face out of their phone? We return faithfully, repeatedly, to any source of joy in our lives until it fails to delight us. So the question that, actually a lot of questions pop up from this guy. It's kind of, why do we exist and why are we here? If we're meeting with a prospective new customer, if we're meeting with a prospective new team member, employee, why is our first instinct always to talk about ourselves and what we do and why it's awesome and important? When we now know that that's counter-human. That's not what this person wants. This person wants the opportunity to share with you things that are fascinating about himself or herself so that you can react to that, validate them, and lift them up. It's a decision we all make every day. Why am I here? If we successfully do that little shift in our mindset and say, look, I'm going to focus more on creating these little moments of delight for people. Trust me, it doesn't take any effort. Going like this, when somebody's standing right in front of you, is dopamine squirting. Woo, they're happy to see me. I'm king here. If we are focused on being a source of delight for people, making them feel like they are the center of the universe, that we are totally here for them, we become that which every business in the world that wants to be an absolute market dominator wants to be, and that is what you see on the screen right there, a positive they. Here's where it all comes together, folks. Think of it this way. Remember I said up front, the tattoo's not about the product, it's about the humanity behind the product. Anytime in your life you have ever told somebody a story about a business, two-person mom and pop, a restaurant, a car restoration place, an aircraft company, doesn't matter what it is. If you're talking about a business, you humanize the business by using the pronoun they. Human beings, we don't talk about what people do, we talk about who they are. We take the what they do for granted.